Hello, fellow Auraxians, or Arena-ians, or whatever you end up being when you go from a persistent open-world sandbox MMO, FPS, RPG, RTS, to an arena battle royale game. Now that opener was obviously way too dramatic for what we're dealing with here. But let's dive into this whole Planetside Arena thing. First, we're going to talk initial thoughts on Planetside Arena. And we're going to talk about this trying to leave our salty Planetside 2 veteran status aside. Just first take. What's good? What's bad? What do we see here? Then we're going to start talking about Planetside Arena as it relates to Planetside 2. Can these titles coexist? Is Planetside Arena something that will just bring brand recognition to the Planetside franchise and bring a sort of tide lifts all boats effect to Planetside 2? Or will it lack the wide-ranging market traction that it needs to attract a large player base and end up splitting the existing player base in half? Force those players to decide, do we jump to Planetside Arena or do we stick with Planetside 2? Which would really hurt Planetside's already dwindling population. And you can expect Planetside Arena to win that battle, as players will expect a newer title to have better support. So, Planetside Arena. It is a game built on top of Planetside, but rather than a persistent world, it is now a lobby shooter. The first two modes that are listed on their website are Massive Clash and Battle Royale, with additional modes to come in future seasons. Yes, I did say seasons. This is a Battle Pass based game. Massive Clash looks like it's a 250 versus 250 battle, and you know what Battle Royale mode is, but there's a few twists to it. And the biggest twist is that this is a class-based game that hasn't really been approached yet in the Battle Royale craze. FPS games were out for a long time. You had your CODs, your Battlefields, your Counter-Strikes. And then there was sort of a subgenre that came in, the hero shooters, your Team Fortress 2, your Rainbow Six Siege, your Overwatches really are those. So it looks like Planetside Arena is trying to have that same effect where they pioneer a sort of class-based version of a classic game mode. That being said, there's not a huge amount of definition between all the classes, at least compared to Planetside 2. The Engineer, Medic, and Assault all have jetpacks, and they've eliminated what I would say are the most controversial classes from Planetside 2. That is the Infiltrator and the Heavy Assault. The abilities on these classes, going invisible for the Infiltrator and getting a bunch of extra health as a Heavy Assault, just would not play well in a Battle Royale game. So while they are different, they are significantly more homogenized than the Planetside you already know. One other thing I noticed right off the bat is the colors. It's tough to tell what the game will look like because there's usually some color correction in videos, but Planetside and H1Z1 both suffered from this really drab color palette. It's kind of that difference between DC and Marvel. DC is all dark and brooding, and Marvel was always kind of bright and colorful, and Marvel is crushing it. Same with Battle Royale. Fortnite obviously is very popular, very colorful. And even PUBG is drastically more vibrant than H1Z1. So while some people say, hey, it's dialed up way too much, I think it is a drastic improvement and will be a much more inviting world to be in if those colors are actually what the game's going to look like rather than just a retuned video. Another thing that I'd call it unique, but it's been done before, is everyone gets a mount. It looks like flashes have really been tuned up a bit, sort of like those ATVs in Fortnite, where you've got a turbo boost that you can use after you've taken off. It's a little more playful game mechanic there, but they are trying to reduce the experience of looking for a vehicle or struggling to get around. I think they're hoping to speed up the pace of battle by allowing everyone to always have a vehicle to get on. Now right off the bat, let me let you know, I sort of designed Planetside Battle Royale a year and a half ago in my mind, which isn't a good way to do it because then there can be some disappointments in the original design. I sort of envisioned Planetside Battle Royale taking place on a broken continent that's seen lots of battles. And you'd be hunting down vehicles, but they'd be busted Sunderers, tanks that were missing turrets, harassers that were missing a wheel. You know, sort of scrounging a vehicle on a war-torn landscape. It gives you that kind of heightened sense of, oh no, how am I going to get out of here? Am I going to find a vehicle? Am I going to be able to make it to the next zone? Whereas if you can just pop a mount anytime you want through loading up a flash, it kind of takes that tension away from the blue zone because you're never worried about being able to move fast enough. So sure, it's a quality of life improvement, but it does kind of take some of that edge off of what makes Battle Royales so great. Now let's listen in on the devs for a moment, because this was sort of a repeating theme I've seen from a lot of them. I think really a driving force behind the design decisions leading up to Planetside Arena.
Like many of you, I grew up on sci-fi multiplayer games, and those games inspired me with the variety of modes and vehicles and environments. VR is just the beginning for Planetside Arena. We're looking to expand it into more of those classic modes that you grew up with as a kid, whether it's Capture the Flag, Team Deathmatch, Search and Destroy. A lot of those kind of solid foundational modes that a lot of us grew up with, and we have a lot of memories and stuff based off of.
These guys miss Quake, Tribes, Unreal, maybe even Marathon. There seems to be a real desire to go back to the roots of these team deathmatch type of shooters, bring some of those mechanics, but make it in the relevant game mode of today, which is Battle Royale. We've already seen some of that guiding hand in Planetside 2 with the release of things like Ambusher jump jets. And while this footage is not that, I will talk more about Ambusher jump jets later on. A lot of times we talk about having a portfolio, an RPG game, a Battle Royale game, an open world FPS game. I think they have a feeling that this Planetside Arena game can be that portfolio. They can deliver that massive battle feel with the massive Clash game mode. They can deliver a lot of what you got from the original Halo in the Capture the Flag mode. They can deliver what you get from PUBG or Fortnite in the Battle Royale mode. Team Deathmatch is literally going to be one of the modes that are released, so you deliver that classic battle feel. So I think the intention here is that Planetside is going to be a portfolio in itself. Gather a larger user base together and then give them options to play what they like to play, and set it all in the world of Auraxius. So guys, I've covered most of my initial takeaways and insights on Planetside Arena. I'm going to dive a little bit more into my personal feels on it later on. I've been getting asked that a lot, and what I usually say is I'm sad, but it's what I expected. Everyone keeps saying the Battle Royale genre is dying. Sure, it's dying, but it's still the largest genre by a wide margin. It's still the best call on paper. So I can't blame companies for going after Battle Royale still, even though what I want out of Planetside is something different. I always knew Planetside needed a Battle Royale to be relevant, to grow. My hope, though, is that it would be something more parallel to Planetside 2 rather than a whole separate game. And so that's going to segue us to the second part of this. Can these two games coexist? I think from Daybreak Games' perspective is that they hope these games are very complementary. People come for the Battle Royale, and as the genre dies, as people get bored of it, hey guys, go check out this open world MMO RPG FPS thing we got over here. We don't just do Battle Royale, there's more to it. The problem is, I think that's wishful thinking. Sure, if Planetside Arena is a smash hit, and Ninja, Shroud, and Dr. Disrespect show up and decide this is their main title, Planetside Arena is going to do well, and Planetside 2 will rise with that tide. But I think a second scenario is much more likely. Planetside Arena will be an interesting title that people will be curious about, but a very large portion of that interest is going to come from Planetside 2 players. And as they say, a house divided cannot stand. And Planetside 2 players will be forced to face a difficult decision of, hey, do I jump over to the new hotness, the new game? There's a lot of things there that are good, a lot that I like, but there is a grind. You have to level up your battle pass. So you really end up having to make a decision. Do I go work on the new game that I expect to be better supported? Or do I stick with the old game, tried and true, a game that I love, but is very undersupported by Daybreak Games? So I don't say this from a place of, Daybreak Games didn't make Planetside 3 MMORPG the way we wanted it. I hope something fails. It's just me looking at how it could play out and what the possible outcomes as a result would be. And I think it's going to be the latter that I discussed, where Planetside players are going to have to make difficult decisions. And Planetside 2, which is so dependent on having a good population to make those maps work, is going to suffer as a result. You know, I say RIP 2019, but don't worry guys, the Planetside 2 servers are not shutting down anytime soon. They keep iterating that they're doubling down on keeping the Brig server open, and it's just not the way it's going to play out. For Planetside 2 to keep going after Arena is out and launched for a bit, there will need to be some serious thought into server merges to keep Planetside 2 a fun place to be. And then the final thing I want to cover is why was it Planetside Arena? I've seen a wide spectrum of emotions. People excited about some things, other people seeing full-on betrayal, seeing Daybreak Games go full-on Blizzard. Not quite as bad as Don't You All Have Phones, but still expecting all classic Planetside 1, Planetside 2 players to be excited about this announcement. Here's the thing, guys. Planetside Arena fixes everything that's been wrong with Planetside 2 for a long time. Have you ever complained about maxes in Planetside 2? Planetside Arena solves that. Have you ever complained about the balance between factions in Planetside 2? Planetside Arena solves that. Have you ever complained about Zergs in Planetside 2? Planetside Arena solves that. Have you ever complained about those darn invisible cloaking infiltrators or those OP heavy assaults? Planetside Arena solves that. Do you want there to be more endgame modes, more meta to the game? Planetside Arena solves that. Have you ever wished Planetside got a relaunch? Planetside Arena solves that. And obviously, I could do this all day. If you're like me, you wanted those solutions to come in Planetside 2. Because you want there to be something with lore. You want there to be a persistent open world. But for them to fix everything that needs to be fixed in a 6-year-old game, it's just not justifiable. Planetside 2 needs so many massive overhauls to serious components of the game to make it relevant enough to make it popular mainstream that it's just not a realistic feat. It's just not really achievable. So this is their answer. They can build on continents that have already been created, vehicles and character models that have already been designed, and focus on getting the gameplay modes up and running. Right now, they seem to have this vision of parallel titles, but unless both modes install at the same time, and you can select Massive Clash, Battle Royale, or Persistent World on the same loading screen, Planetside 2 will rapidly fade away. And they need to focus on how they do a better job of onboarding Planetside 2 players to Planetside Arena. Okay, fellow Auraxians, Mercs, Gladiators, or wherever you hail from, that's it for now. I will keep you updated to the minute, to the second, as more information comes out on this new title. Now more than ever, please make sure your friends know about this channel so I can keep them updated as well. And if you haven't yet, spend some time looking at my YouTube banner, which has a whole bunch of links to get in the community. Discord, Instagram, Twitter, however you like to follow it. Until next time, I will see you Planetside.